In chapter 3, we are going to discuss about how to build better habits in 4 simple steps. In 1898, a psychologist named Edward Thorndike conducted an experiment that would lay out foundation for our understanding of how habits form and the rules that guide our behavior. Thorndike was interested in studying the behavior of animals, and he started by working with the cats. He would place each cat inside a device known as a puzzle box. The box was designed so that the cat could escape through the door by some simple acts such as pulling the loop of the cord, pressing a lever, or stepping on a platform. For example, one box contained a lever that, when pressed, would open the door on the other side of the box. Once the door had been opened, the cat could dart out and run over to a bowl of food. Most cats wanted to escape as soon as they were placed inside the box. They would poke their nose into the corners, stick their paws through opening and claws at the loose objects. After a few minutes of exploration, the cats could happen to press the magical lever and the door would open and they would escape easily. Thorndike tracked the behavior of each cat across many trials. In the beginning, the animal moved around the box at random, but as soon as the lever happened to be pressed and the door opened, the process of learning began. Gradually, each cat learned to associate the action of pressing the lever with the reward of escaping the box and getting in to the food. After 20 to 30 trials, this behavior becomes so automatic and habitual that cats could escape within a few seconds. For example, he noted cat 12 took the following times to perform the act: 160 seconds, 30 seconds, 90 seconds, 60, 15, 28, 20, 30, 22, 11, 15, 20, 12, 8, 8, 5, 10, 8, 6, 6, 7. During the first 3 trials, the cat escaped in an average of 1.5 minutes. During the last 3 trials, it escaped in an average of 6.3 seconds. With practice, each cat made fewer errors. Their actions became quicker and more automatic. Rather than repeat the same mistake, the cat began to cut straight to the solution. From his studies, Thorndike described the learning process by stating, he said, behaviors followed by satisfying consequences tend to be repeated, and those that produce unpleasant consequences are less likely to be repeated. His work provides the perfect starting point for discussion how habits form in our lives. It also provides answer to some fundamental questions like what are habits and why does the brain bother building them at all? Why your brain builds a habit. A habit is a behavior that has been repeated enough times to become automatic. The process of habit formation begins with trial and error. Whenever you encounter a new situation in life, your brain has to make a decision. How do I respond to this? The first time you come across the problem, you are not sure how to. Neurological activity in the brain is high during this period. You are carefully analyzing the situation and making conscious decision about how to act. You are taking tons of new information and trying to make sense of it all. The brain is busy learning the most effective course of action. Occasionally, like the cat pressing a lever, you stumble across the solution. You are feeling anxious. You discover that going for a run calms you down. You are mentally exhausted from a long day of work, and you learn that playing video game relaxes you. You are exploring, and then bam, a reward. After you stumble upon the unexpected reward, you alter your strategy for the next time. Your brain immediately begins to catalog the events that preceded the reward. Wait a minute, that felt good. What did I do right before that? This is a feedback loop behind all human behavior. Try, fail, learn, try differently. With practice, useless moments fade away and the useful actions get reinforced. That's a habit forming. Whenever you face a problem repeatedly, your brain begins to automate the process of solving it. Your habits are just a series of automatic solutions that solve the problem and stresses you face regularly. As behavioral scientist Jason Reha writes, habits are simply reliable solutions to recurring problems in our environment. As habits are created, the level of activity in the brain decreases. You learn to lock in on the cues that predict success and tune out everything else. When a similar situation arises in the future, you know exactly what to look for. There is no longer need to analyze every angle of a situation. Your brain skips the process of trial and error and creates a mental rule. If this, then that. These cognitive scripts can be followed automatically whenever the situation is appropriate. Now, whenever you feel stressed, you get the itch to run. As soon as you walk in the door from work, you grab the video game controller. The choice that once required efforts is now automated. A habit has been created. Habits are mental shortcuts learned from experiences. In a sense, habit is just a memory of the steps you previously followed to solve a problem in the past. Whenever the conditions are right, you can draw on this memory and automatically apply the same solution. The primary reason the brain remembers the past is to better predict what will work in future. Habit formation is incredibly useful because the conscious mind is bottleneck of the brain. It can only pay attention to one problem at a time. As a result, your brain is always working to preserve your conscious attention for whatever task is more essential. Whenever possible, your mind likes to pawn off tasks to the non conscious mind to do automatically. This is precisely what happens when habit is formed. Habits reduce cognitive load and free up mental capacity. So, you can allocate your attention to other tasks. Despite their efficiency, some people still wonder about the benefits of habits. The argument goes like this: will habit make my life dull? I don't want to pigeonhole myself into a lifestyle I don't enjoy. Doesn't so much routine take away the vibrancy and spontaneity of the life? Hardly. Such questions set up a false dichotomy. They make you think that you have to choose between building habits and attaining freedom. In reality, the two components complement each other. Habits do not restrict freedom, they create it. In fact, people who don't have their habit handled are so often one of the people with least amount of freedom. Without good financial habits, you will always be struggling for the next dollar. Without good health habits, you will always seem to be short on energy. Without good learning habits, you will always feel like you are behind the curve. If you always being forced to make decisions about simple tasks, when should I work out? Where do I go to write? When do I pay the bills? Then you have less time for the freedom. It's only by making the fundamentals of life easier that you can create the mental space needed for free thinking and creativity. Conversely, when you have your habits dialed in and basis of life are handled and done, your mind is free to focus on new challenges and master the next set of problems. Building habits in the present allows you to do more of what you want to do in the future. The science of how habits work. All habits proceed through four stages in the same order: first cue, then craving, response, and reward. This four step pattern is the backbone of every habit, and your brain runs through these steps in same order each time. First, there is the cue. The cue triggers your brain to initiate a behavior. It is a bit of information that predicts a reward. Our prehistoric ancestors were paying attention to cues that signaled the location of primary rewards like food, water, or sex. Today, we spend most of our time learning cues that predict secondary rewards like money and fame, power and status, praise and approval, love and friendship, or sense of personal satisfaction. Of course, these pursuits also indirectly improve our odds of survival and reproduction, which is deeper motive behind everything we do. Your mind is continuously analyzing your internal and external environment for hints where rewards are located. Because the cue is first indication that we are close to reward, it naturally leads to craving. Cravings are the second step, and they are the motivational force behind every habit. Without some level of motivation or desire, without a craving, a change, we have no reason to act. What you crave is not the habit itself, but the change in the state it delivers. You do not crave smoking or a cigarette, you crave the feeling of relief it provides. You are not motivated by brushing your teeth, rather by feeling of a clean mouth. You do not want to run and get the television on. You want to be entertained. Every craving is linked to a desire of change, your internal state. This is an important point that we will discuss in details later. Craving differs from person to person. In theory, any piece of information could trigger a craving, but in practice, people are not motivated by same cues. For a gambler, sound of slot machine can be potent trigger that sparks an intense wave of desire. For someone who rarely gambles, the jingles of casino are just background noises. Cues are meaningless until they are interpreted. The thoughts, feelings, emotions of observer are what transforms a cue into a craving. The third step is the response. The response is actual habit you perform, which can take the form of thought or an action. Whether a response occurs depends on how motivated you are and how much friction is associated with the behavior. If a particular action requires more physical or mental effort than you are willing to expand, then you won't do it. Your response also depends on your ability. It sounds simple, but a habit can occur only if you are capable of doing it. If you want to dunk a basketball but can't jump high enough to reach the hoop, well, you are out of luck. Finally, the response delivers the reward. Rewards are the end goal of every habit. The cues is about noticing the reward. Craving is about wanting the reward. Response is about obtaining the reward. We chase rewards because they serve two purposes. First, they satisfy us, and second, they teach us. The first purpose of reward is to satisfy your craving. Yes, rewards provide benefits on their own. Food and water deliver you energy you need to survive. Getting a promotion brings more money and respect. Getting in shape improves your health and your dating prospect. But the more immediate benefit is that rewards satisfy your craving to eat or to gain status or to win approval. At last, for moments, rewards deliver contentment and relief for cravings. Second, rewards teach us which action are worth remembering in future. Your brain is a reward detector. As you go about your life, your sensory nervous system is continuously monitoring which action satisfies your desires and delivers pleasure. Feelings of pleasure and disappointment are part of feedback mechanisms that help your brain distinguish useful actions from useless ones. Rewards close the feedback loop and complete the habit cycle. If a behavior is insufficient in any of the four stages, it will not become a habit. Eliminate the cues, and your habit will never start. Reduce the craving, and you won't experience enough motivation to act. Make the behavior difficult, and you won't be able to do it. If the reward fails to satisfy your desire, then you'll have no reason to do it again in future. Without first three steps, the behavior will not occur. Without all four, a behavior will not be repeated. Together, these four steps form a neurological feedback loop. Cue, craving, response, reward. Cue, craving, response, reward. And ultimately allows you to create automatic habit. This cycle is known as habit loop. This four-step process is not something that happens occasionally, but rather it is an endless feedback loop that is running and active during every moment you are alive. Even now, the brain is continually scanning the environment, predicts what will happen next, trying out different responses and learning from the results. Entire process is completed in a split second, and we use it again and again without realizing everything that has been packed into the previous moments. We can split these four steps into two phases, the problem phase and the solution phase. The problem phase includes the cue and the craving, and it is when you realize that something is needed to be changed. The solution phase includes response and the reward, and it is when you take actions and achieve the change you desired. All behavior is driven by the desire to solve a problem. Sometimes the problem is that you notice something good and you want to obtain it. Sometimes the problem is that you are experiencing pain and you want to relieve it. Either way, the purpose of every habit is to solve the problem you face. Imagine walking into a dark room and flipping on the light switch. You have performed this simple habit so many times that it occurs without thinking. Your process through all four stages in the fraction of seconds. The urge to act strikes you without even thinking. By the time we become adults, we rarely notice the habits that are running our lives. Most of us never give a second thought to the fact that we tie the same shoe first each morning, or unplug the toaster after each use, or always change into comfortable clothes after getting home from work. After decades of mental programming, we automatically slip into these patterns of thinking and acting. I will give you some examples of problem phase and the solution phase. Problem phase. You wake up. You want to feel alert. Solution phase. You drink a cup of coffee. You satisfy your craving to feel alert. Drinking coffee becomes associated with waking up. Second problem phase. You are answering emails. You begin to feel stressed and overwhelmed by work. You want to feel in control. Solution phase is you bite your nails. You satisfy your craving to reduce stress. Biting nails becomes associated with answering emails. As you will soon see, the fourth law of behavior change apply to nearly every field, from sports to politics, art to medicine, comedy to management. These laws can be used no matter what challenge you are facing. There is no need to completely different strategies for each habit. Whenever you want to change your behavior, you can simply ask yourself, how can I make it obvious? How can I make it attractive? How can I make it easy? How can I make it satisfying? If you ever wondered, why don't I do what I say I'm going to do? Why don't I lose weight or stop smoking or save for retirement or start a side business? Why do I say something is important but never seem to make time for it? The answer to those questions can be found somewhere in these four laws. The key to creating good habits and breaking bad ones is to understand these fundamental laws and how to alter them to your specification. Every goal is doomed to fail if it goes against the grain of human nature. Your habits are shaped by the system in your life. In the chapter that follow, we will discuss these laws one by one and show you how can we use them to create a system in which good habits emerges naturally and bad habits wither away. So, the chapter summary is: a habit is a behavior that has been repeated enough times to become automatic. The ultimate purpose of habit is to solve problems of life with as little as energy and effort as possible. Any habit can be broken down into feedback loop that involves four steps: cue, craving, response, and reward. The four laws of behavior change are simple set of rules we can use to build better habits. They are: make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, make it satisfying. Thank you so much. This was the third chapter.